The sky over Ahmedabad was a brilliant, unforgiving blue. June 12, 2025 began like any other day at Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport. 242 people boarded Air India Flight AI171, bound for London. The Dreamliner, a symbol of modern aviation, awaited them. Sleek, efficient and trusted. Inside, passengers settled in. The cabin crew moved with practiced ease, and the engines hummed with quiet power. At 1:38 p.m., the plane began its takeoff roll, heavy with fuel for the long journey. The aircraft lifted off, climbing into the sky above Ahmedabad. For a few moments, everything was normal, but the ascent faltered. The plane struggled, reaching only 625 feet before its climb ceased. In the cockpit, the pilots fought desperately to regain control. A mayday call crackled over the radio, then silence. The Dreamliner, nose up but losing altitude, began its final, terrifying descent. On the ground, life continued, unaware of the disaster unfolding above. The journey had barely begun, but it was already over. In seconds, a routine flight turned into a tragedy that would shake the world. The sky, once blue, turned to ash. Flight AI171 carried a cross-section of the modern world. Families, students, professionals. Most were Indian nationals, joined by British, Portuguese and Canadian passengers. The Dreamliner, Air India's pride, was piloted by Captain Sumit Sabharwal and First Officer Clive Kundar, both highly experienced. The flight plan was routine. Ahmedabad to London, a well-traveled route. As the plane lifted off, all seemed normal, but within 5 minutes, disaster struck. The aircraft's struggle was invisible to those on board until the final, chaotic seconds. The promise of London vanished in a terrifying plunge, turning a routine flight into a national tragedy. The Dreamliner crashed into the densely populated Megani Nagar, striking a hostel at BJ Medical College. The impact was catastrophic. Aircraft and building obliterated in an instant. Jet fuel ignited a massive fireball, sending black smoke billowing skyward. The heat and flames hampered rescue efforts as first responders and residents rushed to help. Indian Army teams joined the grim search for survivors amid twisted metal and rubble. Amidst devastation, a single British Indian man was pulled alive from the wreckage, a rare miracle. But most were not so fortunate. 5 medical students in the hostel died instantly. 50 more on the ground were injured. The crash claimed lives in the air and on the ground, scarring a community forever. Sirens wailed, and the city reeled from the horror. The tragedy was not just an aviation disaster, it was a catastrophe for Ahmedabad. Hope flickered, but grief overwhelmed. News of the crash spread instantly, plunging India and the world into mourning. Prime Minister Modi called it a national tragedy. Condolences poured in from leaders worldwide. The loss of Gujarat's former Chief Minister, Vijay Rupani, deepened the grief. In the UK, where the flight was headed, flags flew at half-mast for the 53 British victims. Embassies mobilized to support families from Portugal, Canada and beyond. Air India set up assistance centers, offering counseling and aid to the bereaved. The Indian government promised compensation and a thorough investigation. The process of identifying victims began, a painful, painstaking task. The world watched as families grieved and a community began the long road to recovery. The crash was a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the shared sorrow of all who fly. Investigators moved quickly to secure the crash site and recover the black boxes. India's DGCA led the probe, joined by experts from the UK and US. The flight data and cockpit voice recorders were crucial to understanding the final moments. The Mayday call hinted at a desperate struggle in the cockpit, but details were scarce. Early analysis suggested a possible aerodynamic stall or catastrophic engine failure. The pilot's experience made simple error unlikely, shifting focus to mechanical or systemic issues. Investigators combed the wreckage for clues, piecing together the aircraft's last seconds. For families and the aviation world, the wait for answers was agonizing. The investigation would be long and meticulous, but the need for truth was urgent. Only by understanding what happened could future tragedies be prevented. The crash of AI171 shattered the Dreamliner's perfect safety record. Boeing, already under scrutiny from past disasters, faced renewed questions about its aircraft. The timing, just before the Paris Air Show, sent Boeing's stock tumbling. Airlines worldwide reviewed Dreamliner safety as regulators awaited investigation results. The tragedy underscored that even the most advanced jets are not immune to failure. The loss of 204 lives and the devastation in Ahmedabad left a deep wound. The path forward demanded answers, accountability, and renewed commitment to safety. From the ashes of tragedy, the hope was for a safer future in the skies.